Shalom. Now, following a few comments we just had about that point we made about the sun going along the south and rotating around the north, some people might have the impression that that verse actually speaks about the wind that the sun generates and not the sun itself. Why? Because only the wind there is mentioned as a main subject. So again, as I told you before, the Torah is not like a book, a regular book or a newspaper to be read lightly. So if you take a good look at that verse, you're going to see that what you believe to be the main subject, the wind, does not appear in the beginning of the verse. It appears in the beginning of the second half of the verse. And this is to make you understand that the first half of the verse actually keeps on talking about the sun, the way the previous verse is talking about the sun. So, when you read in the beginning of that verse, Olech el darom ve'sovev el safon, that means goes along the south and rotates around the north, it keeps on talking about the sun. But however, in the middle of that verse, the wind is being put into the equation. And this is very important to understand. Because check it out. If the wind is being inserted here in the middle of that verse, is to let you know, without using too many words, how the wind moves the way the sun moves. And this is indeed important to understand, because it explains you how the sun is in fact at the origin of all the air movements on earth, and maybe even with or without the moon's movements, also at the origin of the water's movements on earth. Now, all the most famous, most respected and recognized Jewish scholars do validate what we said, that it is in fact the sun that goes along the south and rotates around the north. Okay, that's it's clear. Even though some of these scholars also mention the fact that this verse is also speaking about the wind that the sun generates and also the spirit of the sun, because in Hebrew the word ruach also means spirit. So here some scholars talk about the will of the sun, or it's what drives him, you understand? Now for those that still believe that this verse only talks about the wind and not the sun, well, they have to realize that since that wind is being generated by the sun, so of course that verse also talks about the sun, along with the wind it generates, you understand? Now for those that will believe that this verse only talks about the wind that has nothing to do with the sun, like a mysterious wind, so they have to realize that it wouldn't even change anything. It wouldn't even change our point, because our point here is about the fact that it goes along the south while rotating around the north. So even though we're talking about the wind, okay, so it doesn't change nothing. What does the wind? Does not rotate around the south, the way it rotates around the north. You see? So it doesn't change the main point. Now for those that want to double check out translations of the scriptures, I advise you to go to the Bing translator on internet, much more accurate than Google Translate, and also to the Morphix English Hebrew dictionary, also very accurate. And this will help you to have a better approach of the literal text, you know, the real meaning of the modern Hebrew actually. Now, if you want to understand a little deeper the meanings of the scriptures, so I advise you to go on our other channel. It's called Torah for the Gypsy. And over there, you have one video explaining how to read the Torah. There's like 12 methods how to understand and read the Torah. And you also have a few videos about the way you can understand the Torah with these ways to read the Torah. And believe me, that's gonna totally change the way you're gonna look at the Torah forever. So now, in order for you to understand what it's all about, let me just give you a small last example. Like we said in the first video, the first word of the Torah, Bereshit, means in the beginning of, not in the beginning. In the beginning in Hebrew is Berishona or Beterila. Bereshit means in the beginning of. The way you can see that word repeated like 4 times in the Tanakh, describing the beginning of the reign of Tzidkiah and the reign of Joachim. Now what you can deduct out of this is that this first word Bereshit also acts as a warning to all those that start reading the Torah. Because actually it tells you, do not read the Torah literally. You have to read it wisely with intelligence, deductions, and also very correct translations. You understand? So just to give you a first glimpse of the meaning of that word Bereshit, if the Torah starts by saying in the beginning of, without saying of what, it is to whisper how our civilization started in the beginning of something that just vanished. In the beginning of a previous reign, in the beginning of a previous society, in the beginning of a previous civilization. Okay, so that closes that file on that point. Now I realize that everything I say here in these videos might not be very easy to digest, very easy to accept at first, especially by people that are not familiar with studying the Torah and learning Hebrew. But I'm here to answer all the questions. If you have any questions, any doubts on anything, just share, tell us, no problem, we'll answer. Okay?